everybody, my name is Victoria. Welcome back to my channel, and today I am coming to you with my October TBR. October is generally a month where I'm super busy and there's all of the fun read-alongs and readathons going on. And this year is really no different, even though I thought it was going to be different, but actually this month we're kind of in the process of moving and we're selling our house. And by the end of the month, I may be like deep in the process of moving houses, which means stuff will be packed up. I will be packing constantly and I will be super busy. All that being said, being busy has never stopped me from trying and for making lofty October goals. So October is one of my favorite times because it's Victober, and despite me usually not reading a ton during Victober because October is usually such a busy month for me, I have this dream of reading Victorian literature in October. So maybe I'll surprise myself. So September went really well, and so I have this hope that may be misplaced, but I feel like I want to make an ambitious TBR, so I'm gonna do it. Also, if you haven't heard of Victober, it is when we read Victorian literature all through the month of October, and there are some wonderful hosts of this booktube readathon, and I will link them all down below if you want more information about that, if you've somehow not heard of Victober, if you're new to booktube. But it is pretty much the event that sweeps booktube in quite a big way. It really reaches a lot of corners of booktube, and so you've probably heard of Victober by now. The first book that I am planning and very intentionally going to be making progress through is The Pickwick Papers by Charles Dickens, and this is also in partnership with Katie's Dickens read-along that she's doing for like 2 years. She's planning on reading all of the Dickens novels in chronological order, in publication order, and I really wanted to do that project along with her and with everyone else who's going to participate in that. So October is the beginning of that, starting with the Pickwick Papers, and I don't know a lot about this one other than it's pretty long. I think it was, like a lot of Dickens works, or a few of Dickens works were like published in sections and read like as a periodical. This is Charles Dickens' first novel. I don't really know anything about it other than I want to read all the Dickens works, and I think it would be fun to do this in publication order along with Katie. So I will link her, also her announcement video for that read along down below. I will also be buddy reading this with Rainy from Rainy Day Reads and Christy from Christy Lewis Dostoevsky in Space, and also our friend Joe. It's been a hot minute since I've read a Dickens novel. I think the last one was David Copperfield like a few summers ago. So I am excited to get back into Dickens writing and to see what his early writing was like. The second book that I am wanting to read is Mary Barton by Elizabeth Gaskell. I have read North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell and completely loved it, and have never read anything else by Elizabeth Gaskell, and I don't know why that happened. But this is Kate Howe's Patreon book club read for the month, and I am a terrible Patreon member, and I have pretty much never read a group read with that Patreon before, and it's really sad because I think I've attempted to several times, and I've just never been able to like follow through. So maybe this is the time. I'm really going to prioritize Mary Barton, also because it's been a really long time since I've read Elizabeth Gaskell, and I know that I love her writing, so I need to read more of her. And then the third and final Victober book that I'm going to be putting on my TBR is The Mayor of Casterbridge by Thomas Hardy, which is the group read for Victober. And this one I have actually read. This will be a reread for me, and it's just been a really long time. So I do remember the basic plot, but I don't remember a lot. I remember liking it, I think, to a degree, although I don't think I loved it. So we'll see what I think about it this time around. But I read this back in high school, and high school me was a very different reader than current me. That was a very long time ago. So The Mayor of Casterbridge will kind of feel like I'm reading it for the first time, even though I have technically read it before. I even have my high school copy where I have highlighted and taken notes from when I read this for my senior AP literature class. So it'll be interesting to see what I highlighted throughout the book and what I wrote down. But I'll be reading probably from this copy, if not maybe audiobook too. I do have the audio for this. Those are all the Victober books that I'm planning on reading. I know that I read Victorian literature pretty slowly, so if I get to all 3 of them, awesome. If I only get through the Pickwick Papers, that's very possible. But those are the only Victober books I'm putting on my TBR. I'm trying to sort of be realistic with that because there's a lot of other books that I want to read that are not Victorian, but that I'm super excited to get to soon. So the first of those books is actually a continuation from September. I am maybe halfway through this one. It's Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. You may have heard of this book by this point. I know it's been pretty popular on BookTube. It's been a little bit of a BookTube and also Bookstagram darling. I've seen it on Bookstagram a lot, and I actually picked it up before I even saw anyone talk about it, and I didn't really know about it, but just the synopsis sounded like something I might like, so I figured I would try it. But I actually am really liking this, like really liking this. It's a very slow book, which I'm surprised it's like gained that much steam on Bookstagram and BookTube, because it's actually like quite a character study, and it's not like very high plot, like it's not like fast plot at all. It's kind of a little bit slow actually. It's very much centered on the characters, which I love in a book, and I love in a contemporary as well. So this is going really well for me. I only didn't finish it because I kind of went off book from my TBR a little bit, and I picked up some books that were not on my original planned TBR, and so I just ended up not finishing this one because I finished some other books which I really enjoyed. I'll talk about that in a wrap-up whenever I get around to filming that, but I am really liking this. We'll hopefully finish it in October, probably. I can't imagine that I wouldn't. So I've got like half of this book left for October. And if you don't know, this is a standalone contemporary novel, and this author also wrote the storied life of A.J. Fickrey, which was really popular on the book internet a few years back. And so I guess this is her next novel. And it's also become really popular, and I am liking it a lot. It's about basically these 2 best friends who create this video game that becomes basically a bestseller, and it's about how they get along together, and how that affected their lives together as well. And it's a little bit of like, will they, won't they get together, like best friends, maybe turned lovers, but maybe unrequited love is what I'm thinking. That's where it's going, but I don't know. I haven't finished it yet. So I just think it's really well written. I'm really liking this. Another one that I wanted to finish in September and then actually barely started. I think I read the first page and then I never made any more progress. Is Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo, which is the 3rd book in the Grisha trilogy, which I've been trying to finish for a really long time. So once again, it didn't get read in September because I got sidetracked by some other books that I picked up, and no regrets because I liked those books a lot, but I still haven't read this. So will we finish the Grisha trilogy in October? Time will tell. Another YA fantasy book that I have on deck in the back of my mind, although I do not own a copy of it just yet, is Empress of Time by Kylie Lee Baker. This is a duology. I read the first one last month. No, in August I finished it, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much. I don't know if it's like a new favorite book or anything, but it was very fast-paced, and it ended on a cliffhanger, and I was invested in the characters by the end, and so I want to know what happens next. I can't remember if I pre-ordered this. I kind of think I didn't pre-order this, but I wanted to, but I didn't for some reason. Maybe because I was trying to be financially responsible, which That's silly. Who does that? But I think this book finishes this series. I think it's a duology and it'll just be done after this. So Empress of Time is one that I would like to pick up, and I have to look at how much it is on Amazon, but I would like to get to this one before I forget everything that happened in the first book. Oh, and the first book is called Keeper of Night. The Keeper of Night. Yeah, I always get the title wrong. The Keeper of Night is the first book. There we go. Since it's October, I of course want to put something spooky-ish on my TBR, even though I probably won't get to it. But I do have Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia that I've had for a really long time, all the way back from July 2020, and I haven't read it yet. It was in a Book of the Month box for July of 2020, and somehow it didn't get read, but the cover is what got me. It's beautiful, and also I have read a book by Sylvia Moreno Garcia before and liked it okay. So many people just really love her stuff, and so I need to try her again. So I think it's set in the oh nope, I'm wrong. I thought I was gonna say 1920s, but it says 1950s. So 1950s Mexico, and I think it's a bit of horror, and I've heard a little bit disturbing. So we'll see. I am very interested. And the final book that I'm gonna put on my TBR for October is Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury. This is Michael Knipp's Patreon buddy read, book club read, and it's been a really long time since I've participated in one of those as well. So I would love to participate and read along with the group. I think it has some like circus elements to it, like creepy circus vibes, like a circus coming to town and then mysterious things happen. So it sounds like fun. It sounds like a lot of fun, actually. And I've never read a Ray Bradbury, surprisingly. So this will be my first Ray Bradbury experience. And that is it for my very ambitious October TBR. I finished 4 books last month, so I don't know why I think I can finish 8 books this month, but sure, let's just go with that. I would love to know what you are participating in. What wonderful October read-alongs and readathons are you participating in? Are you doing Victober? There's just a bunch that are going on, but I just really wanted to only focus on one because I know I will get overwhelmed if I try to do 2 or 3 or 4. So this is all I'm trying for, just Victober. And if I just get one of these Victorian books read, I will have participated in Victober. So I feel like that's feasible. But I would love to hear what you're planning on doing for October for your reading life. There's just so much fun stuff going on. Please consider subscribing if you're new here and you want to see more content from me. And don't forget to hit the little bell icon so that you are notified every time I post a new video. Keep reading great books, and until next time, bye-bye.